The Minister of Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Thank you to my colleagues. It's lovely to see you in the role, Honourable Speaker. I know you used to address me in that role, so I will do my best to follow the rules, to listen to your guidance, and certainly, hopefully, provide you a moment of interest or two in the speeches ahead. But it is, I warn you, Honourable Speaker, your role is a little bit like the priesthood. You will feel very isolated. You will have to look at that good book, and you will have to study the words that have shifted meaning sometimes over the years, but I'm sure you will stand us in good stead in terms of this work. So congratulations on your role. I'm incredibly honoured to be able to stand as the Minister of Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport. It's been a dream of mine for many, many years. Years ago, I was the critic on these files. Years before that, I worked in the industry. I worked in arts, culture, worked in film, and supported the tourism sector. So it's certainly something that excites me to no end, and I get up every day with a bounce in my step and a smile on my face. So it's wonderful to have this opportunity, and I thank the public, the people of the West End and Cole Harbour for choosing me once again to stand as their advocate, as their member of the legislature. I'm a proud Canadian, Honourable Speaker, and I'm proud of this throne speech. It's laid out pretty clearly the challenges that we as a nation and that we as a province face. The threats of tariffs, really, I would say unprecedented, although, you know, if you go back in the history books, and I'm a bit of a historian, amateur, I must admit, we've seen these issues before in this province and prior to in the colony of Vancouver Island as well. The questions of free trade, not free trade, who's up, who's down. But we haven't had to deal with that in my lifetime, and I would say probably in many people in this House's lifetime, where we've had our neighbour, who is a friend, come pretty clear to say that we're not a friend anymore and we're coming for you. We're coming for your things. We want what you have, and we don't want to listen to you. And, Honourable Speaker, that is a serious threat, and I don't think it's something we should make or take lightly. It's something we have to prepare for. It's something we have to be ready for, and it's something we're going to have to deal with, because even just the threat alone of 25% tariffs has put a chill on our economy and put a chill on many of our residents who are worried. They look at the threats over the globe, Ukraine, what's going on there now, and worry what is facing us in this province, in this country. So as a proud Canadian, I've got to say it gave me, I don't think we've ever, in my recollection, stood and sang, "Oh Canada," here in this House together. And it was a united moment, and I want to thank everybody for trying to approach this time in that spirit of unity. It's how I try to operate as a person, to try to work, to listen to each other. And the member who just preceded me certainly urged we need governments to listen. We need people that listen. We need oppositions that listen. We need each of us to listen and try to get the best out of each other. And so I look forward in the years to come to hopefully be able to do that with every member in this House. And certainly if you have good ideas for tourism, arts, culture and sport, let me know. There's good ones, and I look forward. I know I've already got a couple of meetings scheduled with folks to take those ideas forward. But in the context of tariffs and the threat to our economy, I think my ministry takes on a really important role in terms of the potential for increased job growth. And I say potential because we don't quite know how this will all shake out, but I think there's certainly very, very promising signs for what we have ahead of us. And I think the ministry I will get to the results for this previous year in a moment, but before I get ahead of myself, I want to acknowledge a few important people in my life who've really shaped me. And I think I learned at the First Nations Leadership Gathering from some of the elders about why they talk about their family when introducing themselves. And it's a way of humbling yourself, because you realize that you owe everything to those that went before, not just family or chosen family or grandparents, relatives, those that look after you as a young person. And we owe everything to them, but we also owe everything to them in terms of how we approach the world, because we carry forward their name, we carry forward their teachings. And so I take that very seriously. I come from a family of artists. My mother, Donna, she's worked in theatre her whole life, producing theatre in Vancouver, producing dance, directing, creating, and has been I think she's currently the longest-serving artistic director, artistic producer in Canada. So if people want to talk about theatre arts, they go to her. So I've learned a lot from her. She was a great softball coach, too. So that's the sporting side. My father is a set designer. He works for many years to design the sets on the shows and the stages that you've seen that tour many of the regions of this province with the Arts Club Theatre. And I'm sure many of you have had them come into your own backyards and present their work. And he also was a softball coach and then a hardball coach, and also helped start my love of badminton. So if you ever want a game, let me know. That is my #1 sport, badminton. It's hard to find a place to play it these days, and if you try outside, it's a little windy right now. But my son has certainly tried to get me to do that lately, and he'll choose the less windy side, so I really have to hit that birdie. But he's wonderful. So my parents, but I speak to my parents-in-law, Rohini and Sashi. Rohini's a small business owner. She's tried all sorts of things to make a living, to take care of her family. Sashi, a metal worker, worked with his hands to make incredible tools that fly all around the world in planes and other industries. I've learned from them the value of hard work, and I've been with my husband now almost 25 years in a month or so, and so really they're my family as well, and we are family. We look after each other, we live together, we take care of each other, and I thank them. And then, of course, my West End Cole Harbour family. I've worked to represent them for 16 years now. Prior to that, in the Vancouver Park Board, and it's been an incredible journey. We've made some incredible successes, we've had some challenges, and there's always more to do. And I guess that's what also gets me up in the morning, to go, how do we tackle those things? Because I got a list that's long, and we keep ticking them off, and then I add something more on the list, or they add something more on the list, and we continue day in, day out to make a difference in their lives, in our community. And it's an incredible community, so I thank them for their trust. My husband, Romy, I mentioned, he's my star, he's my light. He kicks me in the butt and makes me do the hard work and keeps me humble. Reminds me that, your head's getting a little big there, minister, he says. And I think it's really important to have that humbling force at home to remind us, you still got to do the laundry, you still got to do the dishes, you still got to do all those things that you did before, on top of that other pile of work, and we'll support you to do that work too. With love and putting up with you being away from home a lot. And that is really hard. I think for anyone with young children, they'll know that how difficult that is to be away from them, and they don't understand it. And why would they? And my son said the other day, "Why don't you call in sick to work, Papa?" I said, "No, that is not an option, and we don't call in sick unless we're really, really sick. And then we do it on Zoom. Then we participate on Zoom because the work calls and the public needs us to do that work." And I thank him for putting up with me being away as well, and I look forward to more time playing badminton and other things together soon. But I guess I would say all of that is to prepare me for this role that I've now taken on, which is to grow our arts and culture scene, to grow the film industry, to grow tourism in each and every part of this province, to support our sports, our ability to access sports for young people, to support using marquee sports to grow tourism in this province. And it just delights me to no end. To support our heritage sector so we can tell our history, so we can understand our histories, because it's not just one story. There are so many incredible stories that light up this province, that challenge us, that make us sad, that make us angry, that make us want to dream bigger and do incredible things. This is an incredible province. You go to any corner of it and you'll learn an incredible story about people who faced hardship, people who faced challenge and continued working with each other to build up that little community hall, to turn that small festival into something massive, to take that little ski run and turn it into one of the best ski destinations in the whole world, to take those little dreams and share them, because if you have something exciting in your community, people want to be part of it. People don't want stuff created for tourists, they want stuff created for community that are excited, that get, I think about stampedes in Williams Lake, Honourable Speaker. I think of incredible opportunities that people have worked time in, time out for generations to grow and to sustain. And it's an incredible, humbling thing, because these are people who will know more than I have ever known about their regions and their places. But for them to share those little windows, and I think we'll all find that over our time as MLAs, is such a gift that they can take that time to share these joys with us. So I've gone a little off script, and that may become a challenge over time, but my staff get a little nervous about it, but I will try my best to bring things back a little bit. But I think speaking from the heart is incredibly important, because what else drives us in this place? Good, cold, hard facts, obviously, but the heart, the love. Why are we here in this place? Why do we care about our communities? It's that heart, and because we know we have to do better. And that's driven me from day one, and I think will drive me to the end of time. I love volunteering. You can't keep me away from a community project. So, our government, putting people first, taking a strong vision to build that strong, sustainable economy. Dealing with the uncertainty in this world as best we can to deal with the affordability challenges, the crime and safety challenges, and just that general challenge of the world today. We have to have hope, and I believe there is hope. I believe better days can be ahead and are ahead. We had a challenging couple of years coming out of COVID, but Honourable Speaker, people said, oh, you're going to be down for a long, long time. Well, we weren't. Last year, in fact, we had a new attendance record at BC Place. Shout out to the team at PAVCO. 1.15 million people came to BC Place last year. We had a record 1.3 million cruise ship passengers came through Vancouver. Victoria, breaking last year's record by 7%. YVR, airport, second highest passenger count in history. More than 26 million travelers came through our main airport at Vancouver. Those three stats alone would be enough to generate hope and excitement, I think, because that means more hotel visits. That means more visits to our restaurants. That means more visits to our nonprofits, incredible places like Science World, the aquarium in my community. Over here on the island, visiting our Royal BC Museum, getting out and seeing many of the small businesses that make this place unique. Hotel occupancy, we need more hotels, so we're certainly looking for investors to build up that hotel stock. But I would say we hit a record high of 82.2% in August of 2024. That speaks to the need for hotels, that speaks to people wanting to be here. And I think with the context of tariffs and the low dollar, more people are going to want to come here. And that means from across BC, across Canada, across from the United States. We certainly welcome them up. But indeed across the world, as people are looking for a safe harbour to come, where the people are friendly, where we have incredible opportunities, and of course supernatural British Columbia. Now I'd say BC ferry passenger volumes, of course, they've gone up. More people travelling interprovincially or within the province as well. And then over 50% of the skier visits in Western Canada happen in BC. 10.3 million skier visits. So these are stats. I know they're not the most, I guess they are enumerating in a sense that you can understand the actual numbers. But until you get out to these communities, I think in the Kootenays, I think in the north, I think, of course, Lower Mainland with our local ski hills up to Whistler, Blackcomb, Mount Washington up the island, a colleague reminds me. We have incredible hills and incredible opportunities. So my ministry is going to be working hard to find more markets, new markets, to bring back more folks to BC, because again, the opportunity is there. If other sectors are struggling with tariffs, we hope that tourism is able to step up and provide some more good jobs in communities in every part of the province. And these are good family supporting jobs, Honourable Speaker. There's sometimes a misunderstanding about tourism. Often it's people's first jobs, but they're often jobs that last a lifetime because you grow within the field that you're working in, you try something new, you make your friends, you make your connections, and you grow with the industry. And I just think it's misunderstood, and I think it's been a problem that goes back many, many, many years in BC. We don't think of tourism as a resource industry, but it is. Our resource is people, our resource is locations, our transportation connections, and the money stays here. It's also an export industry, of course, because we're exporting experiences. And people, once they come here, they often come back. And then they come back again. And then they invest here. And then they move here. I think that's the story for many British Columbians, is that they came here first as a tourist. They came here first to visit, to check it out, and decided they never wanted to go back home. They wanted to stay here. And I think that's something that we're going to continue to foster and support in this incredible province we call home. So 2024, I mentioned it was a good year. Of course, we had Grey Cup, very good for the Lower Mainland, very good, $125 million in visitor spending. Folks will get a bit of a theme through my remarks. A lot of what we do is trying to attract people to this province, trying to show what we all know to be true, that this is an incredible place to live. It's an incredible place to visit, and it's an incredible place to call home. And of course, well, you know, I couldn't not mention Taylor Swift. We thank her. We didn't have to pay any money to have her come and set up her Eras tour at BC Place. But what we did do was make sure BC Place was a place that would be ready and able to support a concert of that caliber. And we're continuing that work because, got to admit, Honourable Speaker, I was a little bit surprised to see the down in the very bottom of BC Place. Would you believe that the showers in BC Place are still the same showers they used in 1981? They are indeed were the showers that the BC Lions have to use, anyone that use it, and they're big gang group showers. Probably not how we normally shower anymore. Many people like to have their own individual shower. We're going to fix that, Honourable Speaker. We're working on that because it wasn't acceptable for Taylor Swift's team, and it's certainly not acceptable going forward. So there is room to improve at BC Place, but I got to say, to hit record visitor numbers, financial targets, they've got a good thing going on there, as well, of course, at the convention centre, which again really supports our local tourism and accommodation sector. Now, I want to ask everybody who got to go see the Invictus Games. For those at home, you're not going to see everybody smile and raise their hands, but a whole lot of us went to support the Invictus Games. And I just want to thank the team that made that happen. Small group within Vancouver had this dream, within Victoria had the dream, and over time, a back and forth, how are we going to make it happen? They brought off something so impactful and at just the right time for our nation, just the right time for our province, bringing us together, reminding us about service, about our military personnel, about the huge sacrifices they make to protect us all, about our need to be there for them, but also our need to be there to bridge divides between countries and between peoples. And it was such a positive experience. The tourism results, of course, are good, but really it was about the heart and about, as the Duke, as the Prince made so clear, it was about the people in service. And so while we all had a great time and were inspired by them, it was about supporting them to get through incredible hardship. And I just got to say, Team Canada was a dream. Meeting the athletes from across Canada, but indeed many of them from here in BC, such inspiring stories. And it really reminded me about the power of sport, the power of challenge, to make yourself go farther than you ever thought you could. To hear some of the stories about the hardships to even get out of their home and then to now become a high-performing athlete, a competitor, as they said. You know, we're not athletes, we're competitors, because anyways, it's a good reminder for me and I think for all of us about why investing in sport and why supporting our sports organizations, whether they be Via Sport, Kids Sport, so many other, iSpark, really makes a difference. And I think it's, again, another thing that's underappreciated in our provinces, how lucky we are to have the sports sector we have and how much support we give it as a province. I had the chance to meet with the Commissioner for Future of Sport in Canada, and really some of the comments I heard from folks that have approached that commission and others that have provided advice were how lucky we are to have the sport network we have in BC, because they listen to each other, they build each other up. We have work to do. I think safe sport is a challenge that we're working on. We're actually engaged in it quite directly now, and actually providing leadership at a national level about how to make sure that we support our amateur sports organizations to make sure that people from all diversities are safe in doing the support in sport that they do, and that they're supported to achieve the excellence they want to do. And I just really thank everyone who's put their effort to making sport more accessible, because as a young person, I've got to say, it wasn't always the most safe in the sense of some of the discrimination that I faced and other people face for who they are. And I think the more we can do to make it safe for everybody to participate in sport, the better we will be as a society. And certainly look forward to having conversations with people about how to take that work further. So I've talked a lot about things that aren't arts and culture related, even though that's really where I came out of, producing theatre, producing dance, organizing tours internationally. And again, I would say, when I started in this place, I think back to 2010, we had a budget for the BC Arts Council, big cuts of about $10 million for the province. Our government focused on arts and culture to build sustainability, to take what these events are and make them better, make them bigger, allow them to attract more people. So there's the tourism benefit, but there's also that cultural benefit of being able to tell your community's story, being able to support places like the Chinese Canadian Museum, support organizations to tell their history, their family's history, their nation's history. And it excites me that we are now at $40 million for the BC Arts Council. So I think back to 2010, it was $10 million, slowly over time inched up a few million, but we invested in a big way to take the BC Arts Council to pretty much a number one or number two in terms of Canadian investment in arts and culture, because we know it matters. We know it helps us learn. We know it helps our heart. In fact, there's recent research out that talks about the health impacts of arts and culture, that seniors who've had a chance to engage in arts and culture in their communities are much likely to be healthy, to be more engaged, to be able to live longer, healthier, more productive lives, because they've been given that opportunity, both whether it's at home, whether or not it's in a care facility. So there's really interesting intersections between, just as I was mentioning, around sport. And I think another member was talking about how sport can help people through challenges of addiction, mental health challenges. And I think that's really true for arts and culture as well, for heritage. You know, if you don't know your culture, if you don't know your history, it's pretty hard to be proud of yourself. It's pretty, if you've been told that you're worthless, to be able to see that in fact you do matter, that who you are has a history of worth. And you can learn that through our heritage, through our museums. And I look forward to visiting many of the museums and heritage sites across the province with members. And let me know if you have a special one, because there are so many great spots with unique stories. Oh, I see the Minister for Richmond-Steveston. Yes, I think there might be a few over there as well. No, I look forward to doing that. I think my dance card is filling up quickly with incredible options and places to visit. I just want to speak briefly about the First Peoples Cultural Council as well. I think they do incredible work. I've really enjoyed working with them. I think BC Arts Council, the FPCC are finding ways to support each other as well, and I look forward to working with the Minister of Indigenous Relations with the FPCC, because language is so crucial as well. Being able to both preserve a language but also speak Indigenous languages is vital. One of the best exhibits, I think, in recent memory at the Royal BC was the First Peoples Cultural Council, Our Living Languages exhibition. So we've got some work to do there with the RBCM, of course, and supporting the First Peoples Cultural Council going forward. But again, incredible opportunities, because the value is there. It's inherent in the work. And it's something that I think we all need to be excited by, because it's learning, it's growth, it's opportunity, it's history, it's living history and heritage right here, right now. So we'll continue to support our arts and culture friends, our sports friends, our heritage friends, and we'll work on tourism growth. I think I had a recent opportunity to meet with Tourism Northern British Columbia, great organization. I think they said it was one of the first times that they said 20 to 30 years that a minister had come to their board meeting. I like being there in person, because you get to know people, you get to learn about real issues in far-flung corners. They said, well, we're meeting in YVR because it's easier to get here than to get to some of the places we live in the north. And I said, fair enough, if you're up at Muncho Lake, it's going to be difficult for you to get down to Terrace or to Smithers or somewhere. It's going to take a considerable amount of time. And I think the message that they brought is one that I also hold dear, and I know many members represent more rural parts of this province, is that we need to make sure that the tourism benefit gets out beyond what they call sometimes the Golden Triangle, the Victoria, Vancouver, Whistler, and make sure that that benefit is felt in Prince George, is felt in Fort St. John, Fort St. James, Fort Nelson. You know, there's Terrace, Smithers. I get excited. Telegraph Creek, Telegraph Cove. You know, they just from Zabalos to, I don't know another place in BC that starts with the letter Z, but I'll work on that. So I just say, to finish up, Honourable Speaker, well, not quite to finish up. Don't worry, you don't have to jump up right yet. On the film front, one of the first things we did when I got appointed as minister was travel to visit some of our biggest customers. So we went to Los Angeles. I think it was a day and a half after being appointed as minister for the film industry, with the Minister of Finance, with my parliamentary secretary, the MLA for Victoria Swan Lake, and we went to our customers. We went directly to Paramount, to Apple, to Netflix, to some of the biggest producers that choose to come to Vancouver to produce their projects. To share with them, of course, our commitment to increasing the tax credits to make sure the film industry is more competitive, so that it's tax competitive, but also to share the work with the film unions, with our film production companies through Screen BC, to make sure they understood that we are all aligned. Our communities, I would say probably pretty much throughout the whole province, want the film industry in them. They want the jobs, they want the spin-off benefits, and they want to welcome them to this province. The response was wonderful, Honourable Speaker. Good to see you in the chair. They want to be in BC. And you know why? They say our crews are the best. You can shoot in some other jurisdictions where it might seem a little cheaper, but in the end it's not, because you end up having to shoot the same shot multiple times because the crews aren't to the same expertise as we have in BC. The locations are better. We can be pretty much anywhere in the world in BC, and we are, and we show it on our screens. And our tax environment is stable. We've been a good friend and a partner to the film industry for many, many, many years. I'm excited about what this year ahead looks like. It's been a rough time. The industry has come through some challenges as the industry consolidates. You know, there was the battle of the streamers. You had Netflix fighting against Apple and so on to take market share. So they put a whole lot of money in around 2020 in that period. They then pulled back. They're now starting to re-enter the market looking for quality productions, and BC is the place for that. Place for that for the foreign service industry, the production services tax credit, but it's also the place for that for our BC industry. We have incredible producers, directors, writers, performers, and crew right here in BC producing domestic Canadian productions. One of them has recently, I was out at Resident Alien, that I was out at another one. I'm going to visit with the folks from Murder in a Small Town, which again, that's a great success story, Murder in a Small Town, because they took a BC writer's work, turned it into a show, sold Fox on the idea. Fox let them maintain their creative control, their intellectual property, and they're producing that show in the Sunshine Coast, and it's an incredible success. And it's only going to allow that company to build up its resources to produce more quality Canadian content to share both here and internationally. So it's those kinds of stories that get me really excited and really give me hope for the future, Honourable Speaker. We have incredible entrepreneurs. We have incredible ideas and people who are finding ways to build bridges to connect industries. Of course, you know, I think of the Junos coming up, of course, another great thing coming to BC. Our music industry as well. Again, I think we're the third largest music production centre in North America, and that's saying a lot when you think of the other music production centres. And again, it's because of our people, our training, our skills, great organizations like Music BC. Our book publishers, you know, I mentioned that story about Murder in a Small Town. Well, our book publishers support getting those local authors published before you can then take the next step and through Creative BC, bridge that divide, create some good quality content from a book to a TV show that is now being watched internationally. It's a tough time, Honourable Speaker. It's a challenge, and I get why people are concerned. So maybe my positivity and my joy in celebrating what we have in the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture might not quite meet that tone, but I guess I'm positive because I know our people are great. British Columbians work hard. They know where the challenges are, and they meet those challenges. If we give them the opportunity, if we let them know, if we support them to achieve their best, they will achieve their best. Now it's up to us as their representatives to achieve our best, to just like the athletes in Invictus who went beyond what they thought possible for themselves. We all have to do that too, to rise to the moment, to take care of our people, to stand up to the external threats, and build that better future for tomorrow and for our children and our children's children. When I think about why I do this work, I just think about the people. And I think about the tough times I've had working with constituents who've had tough times, but also how they always tell me, don't fix this for me, fix this for everybody else. I want you to take care of everybody, not just myself. And so it's with that spirit, Honourable Speaker, I support this throne speech, and I look forward to getting to work ahead. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.